I'm still here in that in the BIM Boss template, in a new version of the BIM Boss template. So I just keep working here with the fabrication tools. So I will create later some sheet views, and I can, by the way, then show you the new tile block in that new template. So the first thing is, I really start now here from, not from really completely from scratch, but I know that there are some people online who have never used fabrication so far, fabrication parts. Maybe don't even know that they exist. So the first thing is I want to just very quickly give you an introduction of how fabrication parts work and how you can get access to that, to the BIM Boss fabrication database. So when you are in Revit, here in the Systems tab, you have the fabrication part command, which opens a new palette here on the side, MEP fabrication parts. And at the moment, it's not much happening in there. But the first step is that we need to define which database we're going to use. I can do that here in the settings. Another option would be over here. We have that little arrow in the corner there. Also brings us to the fabrication settings. So here the first step is that you select here in the fabrication configurations which database you want to use. So usually you have the Revit MEP Imperial or metric content, but this would be the Autodesk out of the box fabrication content. But I have already loaded it in. Here's the BMA, the BIM Boss All Services database that we can also select from here. Maybe just go here quickly to the BIM Boss website and just show you where we find the fabrication database. So when you're here on your dashboard, here you have the fabrication content. Go a bit further down. So here we have that product. And basically you need two files. So the first one is the fabrication database itself that you need to download. But I highly recommend to also download the work instructions. A very, very good step-by-step guide that Shannon put together. Using that BIM Boss fabrication database, or generally any fabrication database, it's not as simple as just opening a file, or not just loading in a family in Revit. So there's a bit of something that you need to do here in the background. So you need to go into the registry and create a key and put the fabrication parts in the right location. So this is for the Revit users that don't use any fabrication tools like CATMap, SMap, or CamDuct at the moment. If you have these tools, you can do it a bit in a different way. But I think most people struggling here at that stage if they only have Revit installed and try to get access to the BIM Boss database. So it's highly recommended that you have a look at these slides. It's not too much. It maybe takes you 5 minutes and you are up and running. But you need to know what to do. Another thing here, Shannon already spoke a little bit about that. So here the updates of that September update in the fabrication content. I will go through some of these items in the next minute, but I leave that open here in the background and come back later. So now once we have changed that registry key in the background, you should see, again, this BIM Boss database in here. When you have selected it, sometimes you need to click on Reload Configuration, and then you get some services. So in there we have the S-side services, so everything duct related. We have containment, basically cable trays, and then we have the mechanical piping. And when you have a look at the naming of these services, you see that our abbreviations are consistent. So what we have seen in the Revit template before, we have exactly the same naming, the same abbreviations here in the fabrication database. So it should be pretty clear when you maybe need to convert something from Revit over to Fabrication, what you need to use. Yeah, also the containment types or services here, reinforced plastic, the same what we have in Revit template, fire rated or not, these kind of things. And also here the piping, again, pressure based, connection based. So that was, I think that was exactly the one that I used before in that Revit template demonstration. Yeah, so 1,400 kilopascals safe working pressure. You can do that with the copper B braced connection, and everything larger than 50 would be the carbon steel one. So yeah, what you need to do, you don't need to load everything in here. So what you need, you load in. So for example, I start with maybe supplier low pressure, put in that one. Then maybe just the power metal containment. I'll show you how that works. And yeah, maybe we use here our mechanical piping system. And yeah, so these ones are the ones that I'm going to use. Just press OK here. One thing that you always need to keep in mind that you cannot mix the different fabrication configurations. So what you cannot do is use a little bit of Autodesk out of the box fabrication parts and use a little bit of BIM fabrication parts. So as soon as I add some parts here from that palette into my project, yeah, the selector of the fabrication configuration is basically locked, and I cannot change to Autodesk, for example. Yeah, so now we have here some parts, basically same parts that we have created as Revit families. How it all works is pretty easy. So one thing is what you can do is just select one of these elements, like a straight piece of duct, and yeah, you already see that Revit or the fabrication parts here are pretty intelligent. Yeah, so they know, okay, there is some there are some Revit families with a connector, some rectangular Revit families with a connector, and I could now just automatically snap to that transition, for example, and yeah, so I can mix Revit and fabrication. That makes maybe not much sense, but for some parts you maybe need it. So there are some limitations where you maybe want to use Revit parts. So also the fabrication parts, when you have a look here at the transition here. So I had that connector showing up here on the rectangular side because I have here rectangular service, but it's not showing here on the oval side. Yeah? So fabrication tools will not connect to the oval connector of that Revit pipe. Now, so yeah, this is what I can do. Yeah, but usually maybe you start here completely from scratch and you add some of these fittings. Maybe go and add a radius band. So you see here that little box that comes up here. I can rotate the fabrication part by using the spacebar. So, and some Revit users now really would like to see that in happening with Revit families, that it works in that way. They're pretty good. So with the up arrow, yeah, you can just toggle the connector left, right. So pretty easy to place these things in your project. Maybe you also use here a transition. And now I want to go on here with some round ductwork, and I just change here this palette to round and add here that piece of duct. There's one way how you can do it, that you just drag and drop the single pieces, and that is how that worked in the earlier versions of Revit. In the meantime, we have now the option to also use multi-routing, what is pretty similar to, multi-point routing, what is pretty similar to how Revit works. So let me go up here. So you have that start multi-point routing option. And here you, a bit small. Let me just go back to rectangular. multi-point routing, and yeah, just draw like I would, or model that duct like I would do it in Revit. So you see some little X's up here for some of the icons. So these are the ones that will not be used in a multi-point routing. So I can go down here and activate these boxes, and I can, for example, cross out that radius band and instead use maybe that square band. And yeah, if I do the same now again, if I start a new multi-point routing here, make a 90-degree turn. So now that one will be used, so that square band instead of that radius band. Yeah, so yeah, you want to edit the fittings maybe. Yeah, so it also works with the fabrication part. So you don't need to just grab or take what you get here as a default. You can select these parts as well. So here you have some widths and depths and diameter settings, like you would have that in Revit family. But when you go a bit further down, we have here the edit part button. And yeah, that gives us a bit of an idea how that fitting was created in the fabrication database. And yeah, here now you can adjust also some values. If you select one of the values or one of the dimensions here, you see here in the preview what you would control here. Again, you can also have an offset, like what I've shown you in the Revit families, works in the same way. Yeah, so Shannon already mentioned that all the extensions are set to 50, by the way, here, while we are just here. Also, yeah, best practice industry knowledge added to all the fittings in here. So yeah, I can make here any changes. I also, when I go here to connector, so you see that we also have some options how to connect to that piece of duct, or sorry, to that fitting, can also be changed here. Yeah, but I will show you some more properties, what's going on behind the scenes here in the fabrication parts once we are going over to CATMap. Okay, so what we can do as well is that sometimes you maybe start the design with Revit. So I maybe want to use a Revit duct. Just draw a piece of duct here. There's a bit of an elbow in between. So maybe come to the point where you want to detail that further, or you maybe want to hand it over, or you get that file from a designer and you want to use it with the fabrication parts. So you can also select a Revit of Revit families, Revit duct, and up here you can select design to fabrication. And now, yeah, Revit detects that, okay, this is 650 by 650 rectangular duct. So that would be, of course, 650 in a fabrication system. That's all right. I just confirm that and have that now here according to my fabrication database. And what I did before, yeah, I deselected basically the radius band, so it's not possible for that database now to use that radius band. So of course the square band was now used. Yeah, but this is now all fabrication parts that we would use here. Yeah, if you use the multi-point routing, you maybe at a later stage want to optimize the length of these straight pieces here. So this one is at the moment more than 5 meters long. Maybe want to split that into smaller pieces. So the default size that here is in our database is 1,400 millimeters. So if I click up here on optimized lengths, so we see that now we have a maximum of 1,400. That one here is a bit smaller, and I can work with that. I can do the same here and have the same thing. All right, so this is basically how the fabrication parts work. Maybe just get rid of some of them, clean up a little bit here. Yeah, I already told you that we also have containment in here, just to give you an idea how that works. Pretty similar. Again, we have the multi-point routing that we can configure down here. It's turning on or off single fitting types. But basically, you also have these straight pieces and the fitting pieces. When we just have a look here in a 3D view, should give you a good idea. Why are the containment here in the fabrication parts are so powerful? Maybe just get rid of that section box. Because when you have a look here at what you can do with these containment parts, you will see that this is something that you cannot do with, that was 1.0. Okay, so this is something that you cannot do with Revit, or very, very hard to do that with Revit. So if I now start adding a bit of a band here to the side, I mean, it all still works with using the space bar here, or the up arrow, yeah, to toggle here between the connectors. So this would be something that is very, very difficult to do in Revit, something like that. And if you want to go along a wall, for example, would be pretty hard. Yeah, so this is pretty easy, I think, with the Revit fabrication part. And I already mentioned it. We have also the mechanical piping. Same thing. Yeah, you have your pipe types. So now we have that again, that pressure-based system that includes copper B and carbon steel pipes. So we have now here a copper B pipe that I can use, or the carbon steel pipe that I can use. So what happens here if I, for example, want to use that carbon steel pipe for a diameter that is smaller than 50. So you see that I get now here a warning. I can still keep on going and so just keep on designing. What that warning is just telling me is that we had that definition in here that everything below 50 should be copper B. Yeah, and that is why I get that warning here, because I now used the carbon steel pipe for the diameter 40. Yeah, so this is one improvement, or one update in the new fabrication database. Yeah, that you have these pressure-based predefined pipe systems. All right. Yeah, another thing, maybe while we are here, just go back to that 3D view. We just had that question before in the other session regarding the Revit families. Have a look at the hangers that we have in here. Maybe I just get rid of that one. These options. So we have here, when we go back to the airside service, we have here Pallet hangers, where we have some predefined types of hangers. And if you select one of these and you attach them to a piece of duct, yeah, you see that straight away. They change their size. They are properly attached to that piece of duct. And yeah, this is something that a lot of people would like to see in Revit. Yeah, that works here very, very well in the fabrication parts. And the good thing is also, if you have a BIM model where you have a slab above these that duct run, the hangers would automatically basically snap to that slab, to that structural element. You would not need to track these hanger and increase the length or so. Yeah, so that works pretty well here. Very nice. Yeah, something we can do here as well. Okay, have a look at the updates in that new fabrication database. So Shannon already mentioned that. Yeah, first of all, there was a lot of cleanup done here as well. With all these thumbnails, the naming conventions, yeah, all that happened basically in the background to really have that proper base, the proper foundation for working with proper information. We have a palette. It was called special before. It's now here called MISC or miscellaneous, where you will find some not that common pipe fittings that were moved here over into that palette. Yeah, what I showed you, the service names are the same like in the Revit families and Revit types. And yeah, then we have added some new, just go back in here into the release notes for that September update. So we have added some specifications, or have updated some connections here. We have already seen these specifications here coming up when you load that database, when you select the service. Yeah, so these will also be available in here. Then there's some new parts. We have the radius squared branch, square side branch, and maybe up to here, mitered throat. Just show you very quickly where you can find these. So they are in the rectangular palette here. And yeah, here we have the square side branch, the radius side branch, and the mitered throat in here. Other than that, we have, before I focus here on that bench with snow vane, again, some new elements in here, the three-way shoe added, side branch shoe added, and the T-shoe added. This is something that you will find in the miscellaneous palette. Three-way shoe, side branch shoe, and the T-shoe that are now available here. Another update here in the rectangular palette, you will see that there are now two different radius bands and two different square bands. The standard one or the default one, and the one with no splitters or no vane. So what happens with the radius band here, if I just use that one and select it and go here to edit part. If I now change the inner radius to a specific value below 225 and go apply, sorry, a bit smaller, 125, that will automatically add the splitter to that elbow. And this is what happens with that radius band here automatically. So you don't need to turn that on or off. That you don't have a tick box for that. And that will not happen here with the radius band, no splitter. Yeah, same here. You have the vanes in that one and no vanes here. Should be pretty straightforward. Okay, some more elements that we have in here, the new ones are the access door, for example. I think it's also something very interesting for somebody who's using fabrication parts, that also the access panels, they're all kind of a face-based family or face-based part. It's also something that I can very easily add to my duct system. And I go here into that 3D view again. And maybe use the access panel here, that's a bit smaller. So you see when I go here to that, or move my mouse over that piece of duct, of that straight piece of duct, you see that it automatically attached that access panel. That's the wrong size at the moment. I maybe just change that here to maybe something smaller, 400 to 50 or so. And again, when I now use the space bar, yeah, so I can now rotate that thing around that straight piece of duct. So again, functionality that so many people would like to see in standard Revit. What works very, very good here. So I can just place that now here, and I have that access panel in here. Same thing with a shoe, for example. Yeah, if you want to add a shoe, use the space bar or use the upper arrow key and yeah, place it somewhere here. Okay, yeah, so this is what we added new to that family. So these access doors are completely new. There are some more updates here in the background. Yeah. Again, have a look at these release notes. There's some more stuff added. Maybe something that I want to show is the insulation and lining, or the internal lining that we updated here as well. So when you select that piece of duct here, it's also possible in MEP fabrication parts that you add an insulation specification. And yeah, you see some new here, updated, renamed ones, where I can use now just maybe that one, and that automatically adds that lining. As Shannon already mentioned, yeah, if you use lining, before there was a bit of confusion with metal size, airway size. If it was handed over to a fabricator, sometimes there was this confusion. Yeah, so at the moment, what the setting in the new database is now that the metal size will not change. The airway size will change, and in the older version, it was just the other way around. The airway size was consistent, and the metal size changed. So this is not happening anymore. So this is also something I think important to know. Also for pipes, if you want to add some pipes, just add a piece of pipe there. You select that pipe, go into properties, and you see that we have also here in the insulation specification now pipe insulation that's now available that you can add here. Yeah, the same way. Yeah, I already mentioned that all duct fitting extensions are set to 50 millimeter now as a standard. Feedback from the industry that is now implemented in that new version. Okay, so the last steps here in that presentation of the fabrication part or fabrication modeling will be to show you basically two workflows, what you can do with these fabrication parts now in Revit or in the fabrication tools like CATMap, SMap, CamDuct. So I mean, first thing is that of course you can now work with these fabrication parts like you would with any Revit family. So you can now start dimensioning. You can start adding text to that to the duct run. Can add annotation and can place that all on a sheet. Yeah, so this is what we basically call the PDF workflow. Yeah, that you then just send out PDFs to the fabricators. Maybe just add a little bit in here. Maybe move that a bit over. We have a bit more room here to work. Maybe just use crop region here. Crop that view. We're not interested to see everything here on the sheet that I will create. Just want to focus on that little model here. Turn off that boundary. Oops. All right. Yeah, so we can now go to the Annotate tab. Yeah, we start maybe with the dimensions. Yeah, so again, like with any other part in Revit, yeah, just add the dimension here. These are the 1400. Yeah, the standard dimension, default dimension that I were talking about before. Can of course add any text here. No limitation there. Oops. I don't know, BMA 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to add there. And you can also use text on fabrication parts. We have also included in the new template some fabrication text. So the one that is here, the standard at the moment is, here we are, the size and abbreviation tag. What that means when I now move my mouse over one of these straight pieces, so I see that it is supply air 600 600. Same here, the bend, here the transition. Can we put it out, or I can add a leader to it if I like to. Here dimension or diameter 400, also supply air. So I can use these tags. We also have tags for insulation or lining in there. So yeah, so whatever you want to do here, and then we go in to our sheets. We create a new sheet. Already mentioned that we have also title blocks, BIM title blocks in there. So you can basically just use the A2 title block, click OK, and then I can just drag and drop that floor plan over. So yeah, so this is basically where that workflow would end. Yeah, so we would create PDFs, would send it out to the guys who produce that duct, and that would be one option. The second option I want to show you today is the MHA workflow, what Shannon called it. That means we convert our fabrication parts. We export our fabrication parts into an MHA file. And this MHA file can then be opened in the fabrication tools, CAMDuct, SMap, CATMap, and you can detail it over there. You can do cost estimation, or you can send that straight away to your NC machine. Just gives you a bit of an idea how that can work. So what you do, you basically select your duct system or a single piece of duct, whatever you want to have. Here I have some other stuff like dimension and text. This is something that I can, of course, not include in an MHA file. And then I have here that option, export job file. So this is the MHA. So here, to do that, you need to have that fabrication extension for Revit. So you can download that for free on the Autodesk website. I don't know, maybe we can share that link later, where you can find it. And with that plugin, you can directly go and export into that MHA job file. So that's what I do here. Just export it here into the BMA webinar MHA. And I already have that here and have now that MHA file. Okay, then I maybe start with having a look at CATMap. So now we are here basically in AutoCAD with a bit of an extension, that CATMap extension. Why I use CATMap here, the reason for that is it is just part of the AEC or the Autodesk AEC collection. So I guess for everybody who's starting with fabrication parts, this is maybe the first tool you come across. Yeah, I think it just gives you a bit of a good idea what's going on in the background with all what's in the database, in the fabrication database. Yeah, so the first thing we see, we have some drop-down menus up there. I'll maybe open that one. So you see, you should maybe recognize these services that we have in there. So this is exactly what we had in Revit. Yes, exactly the same services. Containment, airside elements, piping, yeah, and so this is where this all comes from. Yeah, so fabrication parts in Revit are not a Revit family that you create by adding reference planes and 3D geometry. Yeah, so the fabrication parts are created and controlled, or the database is controlled here in one of the fabrication tools. So you cannot modify the database in Revit. So you can only edit the parts. So what I've showed you here, these dimensions, the few dimensions that you can modify. Yeah, but really to set up the database, you would need to have one of these fabrication tools. Yeah, and with having the same fabrication database in the background for Revit and for the fabrication tools here, it's very easy to convert our job file, our Revit project, into a fabrication job. So only thing I need to do here is just put in open job. And now I need to select an MHA file. Should come up in a second. Here we are. So it was the BMA webinar MHA. Open that one. and have now that the duct system here. Everything I selected for the export is now in here. And you see it's not a problem here for CATMap to understand what we did in Revit. Yeah, again, it's just the same database. Just press OK. Double click zoom extends here in AutoCAD. And have now my parts in here. So this is not AutoCAD line work or something. Yeah, this is not a DWG file like you would expect it maybe. Yeah, so this is really still intelligent fabrication parts. Let me go right click here and have a look at the CATMap properties. That gives you a bit of an idea that there are much more, that there's much more going on in the back behind the scenes than you would see in Revit at a first look at it. So I see that you can define materials here, costing, yeah, what Shannon was talking about. At the moment, we don't provide here any cost factors. This is something that usually the companies are not very open to share. Bit of a business secret there. But yeah, you would need to set it up for your database, for your costing. And yeah, so much more information here, also connector settings and so on. I think what's interesting to see and to understand the workflow is that we can also have a bit of look here at the development of that tool, of that part. So that straight piece of duct. If I would send that now, I would export or open that shop file in CAM duct. So this is basically what would be produced. So this is the pattern that I would send to that machine, to the ANC machine. Bit of a preview, yeah, without now caring too much about specification or something. Yeah, but this really is what happens. Yeah. Also, we see here that that red cutout. Yeah, also something that there's no chance to do that in that way with Revit families. Yeah, so because I have added that access panel to that straight piece of duct, I have that cutout in here automatically. Yeah, and yeah, it's basically really. There's not much work needed yet to get it over to the NC machine. Yeah, so this is how it looks here in CATMap. I mean, you can just select the right system here. Maybe supply air again. Yeah, and you have exactly the same elements, and you can just keep going here and add that part here now also to your system. Yes, you can just keep designing here, can keep detailing everything in CATMap if you don't want to do that in Revit. Another tool that Shannon was talking about was SMap. I have installed SMap here on my machine, and yeah, again, same thing. Yeah, when we open SMap, you already see these three configurations of fabrication databases. BIM was one, the two Autodesk out-of-the-box ones. So same database going on here in the background, and I go here, open job, select my MHA file again. Yeah, and if now again also every piece that I need here or that I exported from Revit into that MHA file, have that here in SMap. And here it is now about costing, estimation. You get a bit of an idea of the database in the background. Yeah, here we have the costing. Yeah, where you now can fill out price lists. Yeah, what item cost what and how much time is involved to produce it, to install it, all these kind of things. And yeah, and then later on you create here a we go here into print preview. Yeah, you can create reports. And so, for example, a bill of quantities, yeah, with your costing in there, yeah, very quickly. What else do we have? You have a list of all the straights here with the connections in it. Weight, yeah, worksheets for every part. Yeah, you can create automatically a worksheet. What could also be helpful. So interesting is that you can also have use some of these reports directly in Revit. So when I close SMap here, or that print preview in SMap, so if you don't have SMap, yeah, if you only have Revit, you can still go and select again these fabrication parts in Revit, filter out the dimensions, the text, and the text nodes. So this is something that we cannot report on. And then other than exporting a job file, up here, you can create a fabrication report. Go to print reports. And we have not everything we had in SMap yet, but you have some of these views in here, this reports in here, so like the bill of materials. Looks a little bit different here in Revit, but this is just a starting point. Yeah, so these reports are completely free for you to modify, so you can configure your own report. This is also something that yeah, every company is doing a little bit wrong. Sorry, a little bit different. Yeah, so you use that as a starting point, and from there, yeah, you can use all the properties that you have seen in all the costing and estimation properties in the background that sit somewhere in that fabrication database, yeah, and produce a report directly in Revit. Yeah,